Okay, let's dive in. Have you ever seen a political situation just completely flip, almost overnight?
Oh, absolutely. And that's pretty much what we saw happen very recently in Nagaland. It was quite sudden, quite surprising, really.
Yeah, it makes you lean in, right? Like what just happened there?
Exactly. So the key date here is May 31st, 2025. Something pretty dramatic went down involving the elected members from the Nationalist Congress Party, the NCP.
Right, the ones who were sitting in the Legislative Assembly there.
That's them. And it wasn't a small move. All 7 of the NCP MLAs decided together to merge with the ruling party.
The Nationalist Democratic Progressive Party, the NDPP.
Yeah,
That's Chief Minister Neiphiu Rio's party.
precisely. All 7 just upped and merged.
And you have to think about the numbers,
Yeah.
right? In a 60-member assembly, 7 members changing sides isn't trivial.
Not at all. It fundamentally changed the arithmetic. The NDPP's strength shot up immediately.
Giving them an outright absolute majority, just like that.
Just like that. So it completely reshaped the legislative picture in Nagaland.
Okay, so that's the core event. And in this deep dive, we really want to unpack this political plot twist for you.
Yeah, get into the details, how it actually happened, maybe explore some of the reasons behind it.
And crucially, what does it mean? For Nagaland, for its politics, for the people there, we want to help you get a quick grasp on this really fascinating development.
So how did it actually play out on the ground? Well, it seems quite formal, procedural even.
Right, you had these 7 NCP MLAs.
And on that day, May 31st, they didn't go as a group, apparently. They went individually to the Speaker's office. That's Sharingain Longkumer.
Okay.
And each one submitted a separate letter saying, essentially, we've decided unanimously to merge our legislative party with the NDPP.
Unanimous. That feels important legally, doesn't it?
Absolutely crucial, because the Speaker, after reviewing these letters, gave his approval pretty quickly, and he specifically cited compliance with the rules.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The 10th schedule of the Constitution.
Yeah.
That's the anti-defection law, right?
Yeah, that's the one. And the specific bit, paragraph 4, subparagraph 2, basically allows a whole legislative party group to merge with another party.
But there's a threshold, isn't there?
There is. You need at least 2/3 of the MLAs from the original party to agree to the merger.
And here, they had all 7.
Exactly. All 7 NCP MLAs were on board. That's 100%. So, legally speaking, under those anti-defection rules, it was a clean merger, no question of disqualification.
And the NDPP were obviously happy to have them.
Oh, you bet. The NDPP president, Chingwang Konyak, he also sent a letter confirming they accepted the merger, made it all official.
And just so people know who we're talking about, these individuals, they represent specific constituencies.
Right. You have Namri Nchang from Tening, Picto Shohe from Atwizu, Waimambe Mohamso from Wokotown,
Waimon Khao Konyak from Montown, Pangchi Pham from Longling.
He Longan from Noklak, and S. Toiho Yepto from Suruhudo. So 7 distinct representatives making this collective move.
Okay, so that covers the how and the who, but the million-dollar question really is why?
Exactly. Why would all 7 members of what was, the 3rd biggest party in the assembly suddenly decide to dissolve their legislative identity and merge?
It seems like a drastic step.
It does. And looking at the stated reasons, particularly from the NDPP side, their spokesperson, KG Kenya, who's also a state minister,
Yeah, okay.
he held a press conference in Kohima and basically framed it as a desire by these MLAs to align with a party they felt was more deeply rooted in Nagaland's specific context.
More locally focused, is that the idea?
That seems to be the core argument. Kenya articulated this view that a national party, like the NCP, naturally has broader pan-India priorities.
Which sometimes might not perfectly align with or could even overshadow very specific local concerns back in Nagaland.
Right. Whereas the NDPP, being a regional party, is presented as being uniquely positioned to champion Nagaland's unique needs, its development trajectory, and, crucially, the ongoing Naga peace process. That's always a big factor there.
That really taps into a central tension you often see in Nagaland politics, doesn't it? This pull between focusing purely on regional identity and aspirations versus engaging with the structures of national parties.
It really does. And for these 7 MLAs, it seems the calculation was that joining the NDPP, the dominant regional force, was the best way to serve those local priorities. Maybe get more effective political leverage within the state itself.
There's probably also a layer of pure political strategy here too, right? Maybe even political survival.
Well, you have to remember the national context. The NCP itself split back in 2023. This Nagaland unit had aligned with the Ajit Pawar faction.
Okay, and nationally, that faction is allied with the BJP-led NDA.
Correct. But in Nagaland, the main ruling alliance partner with the BJP is the NDPP, and the NDPP is the senior partner there.
Ah, I see. So from a positioning perspective.
Merging directly into the NDPP puts them right inside the main power center within Nagaland. That might feel like a more stable, more influential spot locally than being tied to a national faction whose main clout is, well, national.
Plus, you mentioned, I think, that some of these MLAs have switched parties before.
Yes, the sources do indicate a history of political shifts for some of them, which might suggest a certain pragmatism, finding the best political platform for themselves at a given time.
Let's just quickly revisit those assembly numbers because they really paint the picture of the situation before this merger and the scale of the change.
Good idea. So before May 31st, NDPP had 25 seats. Their main ally, the BJP, had 12.
Okay, so 37 for the core alliance.
Right. Then you had the National People's Party, NPP, with 5. Left Janshakti Party, Ram Vilas, with 2. The Naga People's Front, NTF, also with 2. Republican Party of India, Thawal, 2 seats. Janata Dal United had 1, and 4 independents.
And finally, the NCT with their 7 seats, that makes 60.
Now, what's striking is that even before this merger, Nagaland was already functioning under this oppositionless government model.
Exactly. That's a key piece of context. Effectively, all 60 MLAs were aligned with the ruling coalition, ostensibly for unity, often citing the need to collectively address the Naga political issue. So even the NCP, with its 7 seats, wasn't really functioning as a traditional opposition.
Not in the typical sense, no. They were part of this broad pro-government consensus.
Okay, so now, post-merger, those 7 NCP seats move over to the NDPP.
Making the NDPP's tally jump from 25 to 32.
And in a 60-member House, the magic number for a simple majority is 31.
So 32 seats means the NDPP now holds a clear, comfortable, absolute majority all on its own, without even needing its alliance partners for basic legislative passage.
And this whole idea of an oppositionless assembly or big mergers, it's not entirely new for Nagaland, is it?
Not at all. There's precedent. Back in 2021, something similar happened when 21 MLAs from the MPF, which was the main opposition then, merged with the NDPP.
Right, that also helped create this all-party government setup under the United Democratic Alliance banner.
It really points to a specific political culture there, where sometimes cross-party unity, especially framed around the Naga issue, takes precedence over conventional adversarial politics.
So let's think about the implications. What does this mean for Chief Minister Neiphiu Rio?
Well, for him personally and for his party, this is a significant consolidation of power. It strengthens his hand immensely.
Having that absolute majority just for the NDPP gives him, presumably, more leeway, more political capital.
Definitely. Potentially more freedom to push his government's agenda without needing to constantly build consensus, even within the ruling alliance for every single vote. It solidifies his position as the undisputed leader.
And reinforces that narrative the NDP often promotes, that they are the anchor, the unifier, the party most focused on Nagaland's unique interests.
Exactly. It plays right into that narrative.
Okay, what about the other side of the coin? The NCP, specifically the Ajit Pawar faction these MLAs belong to. What's the impact there?
Oh, it's a huge blow, a body blow, really. They've lost their entire legislative presence in Nagaland overnight.
Wiped out in the state assembly.
Pretty much. It's a definite setback for any ambitions that faction might have had about building a strong national presence, particularly expanding into regions like the Northeast.
It really highlights that challenge national parties face in states like Nagaland, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Regional forces are often incredibly powerful, and local political dynamics can easily override national party loyalties or directives.
A stark reminder for the Ajit Pawar group about how fluid politics can be on the ground and how hard it is to keep state units cohesive.
Very much so.
So, looking forward, what does this mean for the bigger political picture in Nagaland?
Well, numerically, the ruling alliance is stronger than ever. NDPP with 32, BJP with 12, that's 44 seats right there, plus all the others are still aligned.
Which could mean, maybe, more stability, a more streamlined government focused on development or the peace talks.
That's the potential upside, yes. Faster decision-making, perhaps a more concerted push on key policy areas.
But there's a but, isn't there?
There's always a but, and
Yeah.
it's a significant one. The question of accountability looms large.
Right. When you have an assembly with effectively zero formal opposition,
Right.
who performs that critical scrutiny, who holds the government's feet to the fire?
That's the fundamental challenge. How do you ensure transparency? How do you ensure checks and balances when one party is so dominant and everyone else is formally aligned? It raises serious questions.
There's also speculation about things like cabinet reshuffles now, given the NDPP's bigger numbers.
It's certainly possible, though ultimately up to the chief minister. But the internal balance within the NDP-BJP alliance has definitely tilted even more towards the NDPP.
And if you're just, the average citizen in Nagaland listening to this, what does it mean for you?
It's complex. On one hand, proponents would say a stronger, unified government could deliver more effectively on development, on infrastructure, on local needs. The NDPP's pitch about prioritizing regional interests clearly resonates with many.
That focus on Nagaland's identity and autonomy is powerful.
Very. But on the other hand, this continuation of the oppositionless trend worries some. Because while unity might seem good, especially for tackling something like the Naga political issue, the lack of a formal opposition could lead to complacency. Or it might mean fewer avenues for critical voices or diverse perspectives to be properly heard and debated within the legislature.
So let's just recap the main point then.
Okay, the core event. 7 NCP MLAs merged into the ruling NDPP.
Which immediately gave Chief Minister Neiphiu Rio's NDPP an absolute majority in the Nagaland Assembly on its own.
And this whole episode really throws that key tension into sharp relief, the push-pull in Nagaland, between prioritizing regional identity and navigating national political alignments.
Yeah, and the result is an assembly even more defined by unity, moving further away from having any kind of traditional opposition structure.
Which leaves us and you with a really important question to think about.
What does it actually mean for governance when there's no formal opposition? How does that kind of setup potentially affect decision-making, accountability, and progress on really critical issues like development or that long-running peace process in Nagaland?
It makes you pause and consider the path forward when political power becomes so concentrated.